Grand Theft Auto 4 is one of the most beloved, well-remembered entries in the franchise. It's praised throughout the YouTube kingdom by some of my personal favorite content creators and has a goddamn 98 on Metacritic. Guys, I get it. This is like our favorite game. We're both very normal, cool dudes. I get what's so great about Grand Theft Auto 4. I absolutely understand what other people enjoy about it so much. I know some people might say things like, I don't actually like this video game. But not us, because we are normal. Because we understand other people all the time. I love driving a big, slow truck on what appears to be ice covered in oil. The physics are so realistic, and everything has such an authentic sense of momentum. Just wow. And the aiming mechanics are exactly as smooth and responsive as ever, not to mention the near flawless cover system. Yup, the game's nearly perfect. Just a much more grounded and realistic approach to Grand Theft Auto. With no major problems whatsoever, I'd play it all over again, and I can't do this. I have a confession to make. Earlier, like 15 seconds ago, when I said some people don't enjoy playing GTA 4, I was really talking about myself. I just wanted to love this game so much. I had such a great time with Vice City as a kid, and I remember parts of this one as a teenager that I enjoyed, but now, as an old man, at the end of his days, I couldn't get into it. I don't just want to love GTA 4 strictly because of nostalgia or reverence for the series as a whole, or even because so many other people adore it the way they do, and I desperately long to better understand them. There are a number of reasons I kept going with this game despite not enjoying most of my time playing it. The overall vibe of the parallel universe New York that is Liberty City, Niko Bellic's tale of triumph and revenge, the attention to detail and sense of being in a living, breathing world. Unfortunately, for me personally, those redeeming qualities weren't enough to detract from the gameplay itself. While some things are a step in the right direction that would eventually lead Rockstar to make Red Dead 2 feel as realistic as it does, this is a very early iteration. It seems like they were just testing the waters with intentionally slow, deliberate, premeditated movement. The most frustrating example I could point to with this whole sort of thing is the driving, which I understand is an early attempt at establishing weight and realistic acceleration, but still feels like torture to me. That last mission where you have to ride a dirt bike on sand is just plain evil. I know some people do enjoy the driving, they love the handbrake and claim to be very good at it in YouTube comments, and I believe you. However, speaking as a person who was not good at the driving, I hated it very passionately.
Intense! Intense!
This is a long game with a lot of driving from point A to point B, and making a small mistake could lead to you restarting from all the way across the map. So if you don't like the driving, be prepared to be psychologically tormented. Don't get me wrong, not every aspect of Ice Road Truckers 4 is horror. It's kind of funny how the cars always seem to whip around at least 180 degrees every time you turn. So there's that. I endured the automotive onslaught mostly so I could see where Niko would go next, and because I felt like I owed it to him and this world to see his story through to its end. I didn't find myself invested in anyone other than our main character, and perhaps little Jacob. But even with the story being one of the game's most compelling features, I also found it to be consistently very disappointing. Which is really a shame. It starts off very promising, with the assumption of the player being that you'll arrive impoverished and work your way up to kingpin status. Instead, what we get is a series of seemingly unrelated events, just one after another, with characters coming and going too frequently for me to feel connected to any of them. Despite the characters and their individual slice of video game crime life not being all that interesting, the world itself is. There are so many small, granular details that make Liberty City feel lived in, massive, and very real.
Thanks a lot.
You get the feeling this is an actual place with its own history, like it's been here long before the arrival of Niko Bellic and will still be here long after he and the player are gone. I don't dislike this cartoonishly bleak version of New York. I've seen a lot of complaining about the color palette and just general grayness, but that's a product of its time, as are many of the other issues I had with it. But that lack of diverse color isn't one of them. It kind of adds to the atmosphere and makes the bright lights of the oversized city stand out even more. I guess overall graphics don't quite live up to nostalgia vision, but nothing ever does. I remember thinking games can't get much better than this when I first saw it 12 years ago, but now, it's getting a bit rough. Lighting is still great, again, parts of the city are beautiful, and weather effects look fantastic. It's even got a decent day-night cycle. There's absolutely a lot to love here, even if you don't enjoy the gameplay, which, sadly for me, was the case. It's not just the driving, which by the way accounts for a lot of your overall playtime. I also strongly dislike combat. Hand-to-hand is fun and makes perfect sense. Really no complaints there, I was just kind of bad at it. Shooting is a whole other story. At times it's shocking the same people who made Red Dead Redemption around the same time made this. Aiming feels bad, and if you hold the trigger all the way down, you automatically lock onto a target, meaning the only way to free aim is to partially hold the trigger. Also, notice I didn't say the nearest target or the one closest to the center of the screen. It seems to just lock you on at random. If someone gets too close to you, this can really mess with the auto lock on, leading to Nico just kind of freezing up and you getting perforated. The sticky, at times unresponsive cover system doesn't help much in this regard either, but I feel the primary offender is without a doubt the auto lock on and the weird way in which it prioritizes targets. Oh, and that freezing up happens around the cops too. You just get arrested instead of dying, and you lose all of your weapons from the entire game so far. Why do they do this? Because this game hates you, I don't know. Often when you fail a mission, you have to restart from all the way across town. No retry screen, just a cell phone and the option to drive the whole way back manually. Also, sorta related, holding triangle often steals a cab instead of getting in as a passenger, which is a bug and not intentional, so I guess I forgive them there. However, teleporting kamikaze police officers dive-bombing your car with zero regard for their own lives, is that there because of realism? Is that there for some gameplay-specific reason? No, it's there because Grand Theft Auto 4 fucking hates you, and you were having too good of a time driving 4 miles an hour across the frozen, oil-slicked streets. I'm sorry. I'm getting too weird about this, but it seems like they were perfectly willing to sacrifice realism and immersion in areas where it hurts the player, but in terms of convenience and enjoyment, they were far more reluctant. It could also be that this is just purely a product of its time, and kinks needed to be worked out. I know this story ends well for everyone else. You guys love GTA 4, and they fixed enough these problems with Red Dead Redemption, so I'm back on board the Rockstar bandwagon and have been since 2010. I'm just sad I couldn't love this game the way I wanted to, and the way I feel like it sorta deserves. This world was absolutely unbelievable, and for its time, the whole game, even the parts I don't like, were groundbreaking. In terms of story, immersion, realism, tone, pacing, scale, and much more, a lot of what makes modern Rockstar games the masterpieces that they are originated here. It was a big step for the series, and I appreciate a lot of things about it. I just, unfortunately, had a bad time playing it. I never gave up. I completed Nico's story, even going as far as to do a few side missions as I went. I tried to take my time and get as much out of this experience as I could. I almost deleted all my notes and capture after completing the game because I knew my review, if it was going to be honest, would be mostly negative. I don't think it's cool to hate on things people are passionate about, and it doesn't make me happy that I didn't fall in love with Grand Theft Auto 4. Far from it. I want for every reason to be normal and love all the shit everyone else does, I just don't always understand other people. This is unfortunately one of those cases. The good news is GTA 6 is only a few years away now, and I'm pretty jazzed about it. I think despite already being one of the most popular and revered franchises in gaming, Grand Theft Auto as a series has not yet reached its peak. These games have unlimited potential, and judging by the leaps made from 4 to 5, 6 could be something really special. Now, watch me run over this hooker with a cop car.
For that shit.
Men like you should be castrated.
P.S. If you have a game you'd like to see reviewed, please leave a comment. I'll probably do it eventually, depending on the game. Thumbs up button is nice, helps the channel. And as always, thank you for watching.